Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Van Essen. I'm a student at the University of Advancing Technology in Tempe, Arizona. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the essentials of game design. First, we're going to take a look at the elements of game design, the science, the art, and the business aspects, as well as the secret ingredient, which we're going to talk about later. We're going to learn from success. We're going to take a look at the most successful games in history and what was in their recipe for success. We're also going to take a look at learning from failure. We're going to take a look at the most historic game flops of all time and what it was that they did that made them so unsuccessful. And then we'll talk about the intangibles, that missing ingredient. The elements of game design. Making a game isn't just about having creative vision. There's a science, art, and business aspect of game design that cannot be forgotten. These form the holy trinity when it comes to games. If one of these aspects is overlooked, your project will suffer against increasingly difficult tasks as time goes by. So let's talk about science. Science was the first slice of our triune that enabled the world to enjoy video games. If science didn't advance human technology, we surely wouldn't have video games. More specifically, creating a game is a science itself. Programming and scripting are easy examples, but even gameplay has a science. Game balance, particularly in RTS and MMO games, serves as a perfect example. Here's rock, paper, scissors. This is just one of the basic balance techniques. If stone beat paper and scissors, it wouldn't be much of a game, would it? The science of video games, just like art, will continue to grow and evolve, giving us more complex, challenging, and entertaining games. Okay, the art of video games. With the exception of a few mud games, all video games have art. Like science, art in games has evolved from 2D images and sprites to 3D immersive worlds. Here's a great example. Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, with 2D sprites. Now, Mario Galaxy for the Wii system, a 3D immersive world. Advances in technology have enabled artists to continually raise the bar. Every year, new games are released with groundbreaking graphics. Take the game Crisis, for example. Upon release, many consumers had to upgrade their computers because they wanted to run this breathtakingly gorgeous new game with the highest settings. Understanding that the art and science behind video games can provide lucrative income, business fills the final third of the game design trinity. So let's talk about business. Many people forget that game production is a business. Managing a game development project takes a lot of resources. Project stakeholders are interested in the bottom line, money. For that reason, many of the larger game development companies stick to tried and true methods without taking unnecessary risks. This is why the independent game scene has heated up recently. Most indie games are wildly experimental. Thanks to the success of some of these games, new standards are being made in the industry that will allow all three branches of the Trinity to continue growing equally. So what did I miss? What's that key ingredient, that key element that game designers need to be successful? Think about this as I continue the presentation, and we'll come back to this. So let's talk about building on success. Take a moment to think about the most successful games in video game history. You've got Mario, Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and Zelda, just to name a few. What is it that made these games so successful? All of these games feature a few key elements: the escape from reality, challenging gameplay, nostalgia, and a compelling story. We'll let Mario slide on the compelling story. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Most importantly, they have become household names. We discussed the business side of video game industry earlier. This is a perfect example. If you're producing games to make money, why take a chance with a new IP? Sticking with familiar protagonists generates profits, including retroactively. Take Halo and Halo 2 for example. Right before Halo 2 was released, Halo 1 copies sold more that previous month than any of the months before. What about failures? Take a moment to think about some of the least successful video games in history. Duke Nukem Forever and StarCraft Ghost both come to mind. Maybe it's a little unfair to label these games, however, since they never really made it out of development hell. How about Custer's Revenge by Mystique and Atari's E.T.? These were both released and later became widely regarded as the worst video games of all time. What is it that they did that made them so unsuccessful? Malcolm Forbes once said, "Failure is success if we learn from it." E.T. is a great example because it failed for noteworthy reasons. After its release, the game was criticized in almost every category. The story was practically non-existent, the gameplay was unreasonably difficult, and the graphics left a lot to be desired, even for an Atari 2600. Overproduction added to Atari's woes, eventually leading to a funeral of sorts where the unsold cartridges were buried in Mexico. This just goes to show that having a recognized name doesn't simply guarantee success. Mario and the other franchise listed on the previous slide still consistently deliver up-to-date graphics, appropriately challenging gameplay, and relatively compelling plots. So what's that secret ingredient that I mentioned earlier? Regardless of which element of game design you subscribe to, science, art, or business, there's one intangible trait that will help you succeed. Passion. The German poet Hebel once said, "Nothing great in the world has ever been accomplished without passion." I hope if there's one thing that you take away from this presentation, is that you need to be passionate about what you do, enjoy what you do, and you will enjoy success. Thank you.